In 2061, Japan collapsed under its own economy and aging population, turning into a juicy target for capitalist nations. They fought over ruling Japan, unleashing humanoid weapons called AIM, and Japan's situation hit rock bottom. This is Shiba. He and his crew found a wrecked AIM, stripped whatever was usable, then dipped. They debated how to use the parts, but Shiba stayed quiet even though he grabbed the most loot. Later, Shiba got dropped at his house. Right then, the crew overheard Japanese locals brawling with foreign soldiers. Shiba didn't care and just went inside. 'Cause in this era, being born Japanese was like being Jewish back then, looked down on, and no matter your skills or cash, landing a job was hell. Shiba wondered what the point of living even was. Depressed, he went solo up the mountain searching for something, not calling the other three. He didn't know their names or addresses, only knew them through a mecha fan group. For him, that kind of connection was enough. Shiba then went to grab the main parts he had stashed earlier. After wandering till night, he heard that AI's voice crying for help. Curious but low-key scared, Shiba pulled out his army shovel and crept toward the sound. Behind the bushes was a box. It spoke, introducing itself as Gay, an AI with its own mind and soul. Shiba wanted no trouble, so he turned to leave, but Gay called him out, even exposed that he had hidden a comms device from the MAME. Gay begged Shiba to save it since its battery was dying, then suddenly warned him to run, someone was coming. A military truck rolled up. They caught Shiba and grilled him on what he was doing out here. He calmly said camping, but they didn't buy it. This was an MAME wreck zone. They suspected theft, demanded his ID. Shiba was an orphan living off inheritance and welfare, clean record or not. They pinned him down and searched his bag. Finding nothing, they let him go. Once clear, Shiba returned for Gay and headed to an abandoned factory he'd made his secret spot, behind a locked door and a MAME. He started charging Gay. They asked if he built this thing alone. Shiba explained how he found the place, like some relic. The tools were still intact. It took him ages to crack open the hidden room, and inside was the MAME, already waiting. But its structure was odd. It lacked a central control unit. Shiba had been studying it ever since. It was his only joy in this broken world. Gay respected that, then dropped the question Shiba never considered. What will you do once this MAME works? Shiba stayed silent. Gay said even if it was just a hobby, that was valid. Back in Border Wars, people literally bought drinks and popcorn just to watch the mechs fight, all for the hype. Shiba cut it short, turned on jammers, and left Gay charging. As the door shut, Gay scanned the factory and started prepping something. 3 days passed, rain non-stop. Shiba worried, what if Gay drained all the power in the factory? Next day, the army caught Shiba's friends modding a car with MAME parts. The commander called them terrorists and flashed a photo of Shiba, demanding info or die. Meanwhile, as Shiba was fixing his headset, Gay intercepted signals and yelled at him to run. Soldiers stormed in right then. When they couldn't find him, they checked the cams. Shiba sprinted to the factory and saw the MAME completed by Gay. No time to be amazed, troops had already tracked him. Through cameras, he saw 2 Oceania mechs, and his 3 friends taken hostage. The commander ordered him to come out, accusing him of being a terrorist. The trio protested they were just city boys who loved modding rides, but the commander ignored them, aiming his gun. Shiba was about to comply, but Gay asked did he want to rot in prison for life, or fight back, break free, stay a caged fish, or leap the dragon gate and become a dragon. If you trust me, then pilot this. Without hesitation, Shiba chose to ride with Gay. The commander, seeing no response, opened fire. Shiba jumped inside the MAME, slotting Gay in like a key. After a quick scan, the MAME's name popped up, Kenbu. Retinal skin started, and Shiba could see everything outside. Gay appeared in a cuter avatar. After a bit of cockpit practice, Shiba switched Kenbu into humanoid form. Following Guy's instructions, Kenbu charged out, stunning everyone. Shiba flew in, socked one MAME, then grabbed it and yeeted it into the other. But the enemies fired back hard, forcing him into cover. Bullets rained non-stop. Shiba was in deep trouble. Another enemy jumped behind, setting up a pincer. At this point, Gay told Shiba to use his finisher, eyes blazing. It told Shiba to yell the move name loud and badass. As the Tuamame charged, Shiba screamed, "Hetsukan and strike." He pierced one with his weapon, then quickly grabbed the one behind and smashed its arm into the other. For the first time, Shiba felt truly alive. But right after, a soldier held his 3 friends hostage, demanding surrender. Gay whispered, "I got this." Then it spoke aloud saying those 3 were just Shiba's tools. He used them to get 10 repair parts for Kenbu. Now that Kenbu's complete, they're useless. Then Gay straight up roasted the commander who lost the real terrorists and punished innocent people. Humiliating. After that fiery diss, the 2 bailed, now forced to live on the run. On the run like that, Shiba stopped that night to check on Kenbu. He checked his phone, turns out he's wanted for terrorism. But man was starving, so he didn't care. Shiba asked what's next. Gay said they got across the Seto Inland Sea, head into Okayama outside enemy control. Beyond Oceania's reach, less eyes on them. And if they still got chased, then it's exile life. Sounded fair, so Shiba knocked out for some rest. Next morning, Shiba had to disguise Kenbu. Gay said it needed rest after crunching a mountain of data yesterday. It had to sleep to not overload. Once done hiding Kenbu, Shiba went to find food he hadn't eaten since yesterday. He stumbled on a lush veggie garden, thinking, "I'm already branded a criminal. Stealing one more thing won't matter." So, he reached for a tomato, about to bite. When the farmer showed up with a sickle, Shiba freaked out. He bowed low, apologizing hard. The farmer just stared. Then said, "Help me out and I'll feed you." Guided by the kind farmer, Shiba harvested tons of veggies. By noon, he got to eat tomatoes chilled in a stream. After lunch, the farmer told him to help sow seeds. They worked till evening. But Shiba wasn't tired, he was actually happy. Fresh farm life hit different from city living. That made it precious. Seeing this, the farmer invited him home, where his wife greeted them. He asked his wife to cook dinner for their guest. She gladly agreed and told Shiba to bathe first. After bathing, Shiba was served a feast. No hesitation, he dug in. The first bite brought tears. It was nothing like the junk food he always ate. It made him truly happy. Afterward, as he sipped tea, the TV flashed his wanted notice. Shocked, speechless, he listened as the farmer shared. He once had a son, but lost him in the border war. They promised to go fishing after he returned, but it never happened. The boat still sits unused. The farmer said Shiba could take it. He knew Shiba wasn't a terrorist. No terrorist would bow and beg after being caught stealing veggies. On the contrary, Shiba even helped with farming. The farmer said, "In chaotic times, one mustn't lose faith in people." So he gave Shiba his trust, promising nothing bad would happen to him here. Overwhelmed, Shiba thanked him again and again. To lighten the mood, the wife went to check Shiba's washed clothes. He offered to help, then the doorbell rang. The farmer hid Shiba and went out. It was the town sheriff, checking for terrorists hiding around. The farmer firmly said no one was here. The sheriff noticed Shiba's shoes, but out of respect, pretended not to. That night, Gay contacted Shiba. It heard everything and knew the sheriff turned a blind eye. But both knew the couple would be in danger if he stayed. So next morning, Shiba left a farewell letter, thanking them for shelter, the meal, and their kind words. He also asked to borrow their boat, promising to return it. He messed up the house to look like he attacked them so they wouldn't be blamed. Then Shiba linked the boat with Gay, and they set off on their journey. Still, Shiba worried his crimes kept piling up, ones he never committed. But Gay said chill, even if the world dumped charges on him, they'd clear his name. That calmed Shiba. Gay announced they were minutes from the other shore, straight into an active war zone, deadly border front. Before Shiba could prep, Gay warned they were surrounded by Asian forces, ambush waiting ahead. Scanning the field, Gay counted at least 12 mechs. Too late to run, only option charge forward. Gay hyped him up. "You already smacked Oceania. Now punch Asia, you'll be a legend." Not what Shiba wanted, but the thought of fighting fired him up. As Asian troops opened fire, Kenbu leapt high, landing on a broken bridge just as Gay calculated. They pushed forward. Kenbu crushed one Amame, used it as a shield, then shoved both into the water. Adrenaline rushing, Shiba charged and took down to more Amame. The commander was stunned by Kenbu's agility. Meanwhile, Gay detected four snipers locking on. Kenbu dashed, kicking to mechs away, snatched a gun and aimed, but weapons needed ID to fire. No problem, Shiba slammed the rifle's stock into an Amame's head, but reinforcements rolled in. Surrounded on all sides, Gay calculated an escape. It found a high-power battery nearby primed for an explosion. Timing it with enemy fire, Shiba had Kenbu toss batteries into the bullet's boom. Using the blast, they tried to bolt, but Asian troops kept firing, hitting Kenbu's leg, crippling its movement. They swarmed Shiba, pinned him down, then unloaded bullets into the cockpit trying to kill him. But Kenbu was too tanky for the first barrage. The commander kept firing, dead set on killing Shiba until a sniper dropped one aim from afar. Asian forces panicked, scanning everywhere, but shots from across the mountain range kept deleting aim one by one. When all were down, the other pilot radioed Shiba, gave him coordinates and a password, then fired two smoke rounds to cover Kenbu's escape. The smoke jammed sensors, so Asian forces lost Shiba's trace. He then met his rescuer. He thanked him, introduced himself, and Gay got salty that another AI was around. The pilot's AI greeted them too, then all four hopped on a transport and dipped. That AI called itself K. The pilot was Gashin. Meanwhile, Gay scanned their route. K explained the road was built pre-border war, left over from a secret private highway project. Since it's hidden, enemies wouldn't know, so it was safe. Shiba asked about Gashin's stoic, gruff vibes. Gashin said Japanese pilots were forming their own army to restore Japan. He called the group Yatagarasu. Gay muttered Shiba just met real terrorists. Then Shiba was taken to their camp. There he met mechanics. They clowned him for looking weak but still took on repairing Kenbu. Then Risa appeared, introduced herself, and led him to Kumai, captain of Yatagarasu's second unit. Kumai asked questions that felt more like an interrogation. Like, did he have teammates? Did he build Kenbu solo? Was Gay his creation? Shiba stayed calm and answered. Kenbu was already there when he found it. He just assembled and fixed it, not knowing if it worked. Gay, he found in the forest, and it booted up once slotted in. After talks, Kumai said Kenbu belonged to Yatagarasu. It was one of a trio designed from a concept named Johan, currently piloted by Gashin. He added Shiba couldn't activate it at first because it lacked a part meant for delivery, but the pilot and AI carrying it were ambushed. So Kenbu slept till Shiba woke it. Gay snapped, "So you're just taking Kenbu back?" But Kumai said that'd be unfair. Instead, he offered a better deal: join them. They weren't terrorists like the news claimed, but rebels, not extremists. Since Shiba could repair and fight with Kenbu, he'd fit right in, but Shiba hesitated, joining then killing. Gashin raged Kenbu wasn't a toy, it was a weapon. He showed videos of Japanese massacres, saying Shiba had the power to save them but was too cowardly. Shiba's unsure face pissed Gashin off. He stormed out. Kumai said forgive him. Gashin's dad dreamed of restoring Japan, but died before doing it. Gashin's roughness came from carrying that will. Back to Shiba's choice, Kumai said he could decline. They'd help him regain citizenship and live a normal life under a new name, but he'd have to return Kenbu. Hearing the terms, Shiba went silent, saying he'd think. He sat outside until Risa came to talk. He asked why she joined the rebellion. She said she once had a family, all killed in a car crash caused by Asian military vehicles. Thanks to diplomatic immunity, they walked free, even blamed her family for damages and demanded compensation. Her hatred burned ever since. She said many Japanese felt the same. That's why she joined the cause, but Shiba had no reason to fight. His parents died from illness, nothing to do with the army. At first, Kenbu was just a hobby. Fighting with Kenbu and Gay excited him, but near death, he was terrified. He curled up remembering it. Then Risa comforted him. She admitted she was sent to recruit him, but thought if her brother were in his place, she couldn't push him to fight. She'd want him to run far away and live peacefully. She wanted Shiba to value himself too. Without AI, how could humans find happiness? Remembering the old couple, Shiba made his decision. That night, Kumai announced HQ reported Asia boosted security after Kenbu's rescue. They'd posed plans to cut enemy supply lines and return to base. As for Shiba, Risa wasn't sure he'd join. Gashin still fumed at his weakness. Next day, Gashin dragged him out to train. He showed a schedule. No refusing, started running, forcing Shiba to follow. Meanwhile, Risa showed Kenbu's no upgrades. By afternoon, Shiba was dead tired. Gashin said this was just the beginning and left. That night, Shiba lay listening to Gay ramble about Kenbu's greatness. Too tired, he passed out. Next day, Gashin yanked him up to train again. That night, he was too exhausted to eat. Everyone cheered him on, even made him a special drink. He downed it and crashed. Next day, training again. Meanwhile, Gay watched Kenbu's upgrades finish, and Shiba grew stronger. Gashin gave him an early break, but Risa called him to see Kenbu. It now had new armor, plus a sword and cannon on its back. Shiba was amazed at the craftsmanship. After chatting with Risa, they went to a nearby stream to bathe. She stripped without hesitation, dragging flustered Shiba into the water. The cool stream washed away his worries. They talked. Risa said tomorrow they'd head to Hiroshima, asking if he'd decided. He said he still feared fighting, but being with them showed they weren't bad people. He wanted to learn and fight alongside Kenbu. Risa smiled and patted his head. That night, he told Gay his choice. Gay promised support since Shiba saved it. Risa reported his decision to Kumai. Next day, Shiba and Gay tested Kenbu. Thanks to upgrades, it was faster, more agile. 1/split a huge boulder clean. After testing, Shiba stepped out and met Gashin again. He marveled at the upgrades, then handed the cockpit to Gashin. He needed practice in case Shiba died. Shiba should do the same. Then they sparred with each other's aim. Gashin's was Johan, guided by Kay. Their duel was even. They kept running his mouth, annoying Gashin, but he calmly dodged Shiba's shock rounds. Kay advised Shiba to swap weapons flexibly once countered, but Shiba worried about scratching Kenbu. Distracted, he got rushed by Gashin. Kay quickly told him to switch to shield. He blocked, then pulled a short blade, knocking Kenbu's weapon away and aiming his gun, yet Gashin countered with another blade, striking Johan's shoulder. The match ended in a draw. Gashin finally acknowledged Shiba as a pilot right before a black Amame attacked their camp. It went for the transport trucks hauling Amame parts first, then turned on the rebels. Just as that giant arm was about to slam down, Kenbu blocked it, and the fight kicked off. Gay noticed the enemy's arm heating up. No data on that dangerous. Then Risa rushed in to back them up. But after just a few shots, the black Amame blitzed her and ended her in one strike. Her sudden death left Shiba frozen. Gay snapped at him to dodge the black Amame. Kumai ordered them to stall while he evacuated everyone. Meanwhile, Gashin realized this was the same Amame that killed his father. Rage consumed him. He charged, ignoring Key's warnings, memories flooding back. That day, he begged to pilot Johan instead of the trainer unit. His father agreed. No danger signs, but not long after he left, reports came. A black Amame ambushed his father's squad. When he ran to find him, he saw it had killed his dad. Gashin swore vengeance. Kay warned him to calm down. His vitals were spiking. Johan unstable. The black Amame swung at Gashin. Kenbu intercepted, but Gashin, unstable, screamed at Shiba to back off. Kumai called in, demanding he cooperate or everyone would die. If they lost, everyone here was dead. Kay tried steadying him, but neither Kay nor Gay had any data on this Amame to strategize. All they knew, this thing attacked everywhere it went. Both Asian and North American forces took heavy losses. Its name Ghost. Ghost blitz forward, shoving Kenbu back, then chain combo strikes at Shiba. Gashin fired support, but Ghost dodged back and grabbed a rebel gun, firing it at them. Shiba panicked. It used weapons without ID locks. Kay said that's Ghost's op trick, and its fight with Gashin's dad, it even lost an arm. It stole another Amame's arm, slapped it on like nothing, and kept going. When Johan aimed, Kenbu blocked, but Gashin yelled at Shiba to get out of his line of fire. Gay shot back and then stopped missing. Bro, they bickered but still fought in sync, backing off while striking. Just then, Mizuki from maintenance radioed they had new weapons. Gashin blinded Ghost with flash rounds, then he and Shiba ran for the drop point. Ghost noticed and chased. They grabbed the weapons. Ghost arrived. Three-way standoff. Ghost lunged, but Kenbu's heat blade blocked it. Johan sniped support. Ghost deflected, dashed at Johan, then hurled him straight into Kenbu. But Gay had planned this. Kenbu leapt high, swapped to gunfire from above. Ghost blocked with its hand. Just as Shiba closed in, he hacked off an arm and stabbed its leg, pinning it. Johan's turn. Gashin switched to armor-piercing rounds, unloading on Ghost's head. But even headless, it moved. It leapt behind Kenbu, shoved him into Johan, pinning both. Then Ghost triggered its reactor, trying to blow itself up with them. Heat spiked, its body glowing red-hot. Shiba and Gashin couldn't escape. They braced for death. But Kumai rolled in artillery, blasting Ghost. They aimed at its joints. Once loosened, Kenbu and Johan broke free, hid, and waited for Ghost to blow, but it just kept heating. No explosion. Later, Kumai called. Casualties and losses were massive. He'd report back to HQ. Gashin and Shiba had to handle cleanup before Asian troops arrived. They searched once Ghost's heat signature vanished. Shiba found Risa's necklace on the ground. He picked it up and cried. That night, Asian forces showed up, led by a red-haired guy. He could reconstruct battles just by reading the terrain. He marveled at Shiba's skill growth, and learning Shiba helped take down Ghost, he got hyped to meet him. Shiba, still crushed by Risa's death, while Gashin understood he'd been there. Asian forces recovered data from all three MAME and started simulations. Kenbu the base model, Johan the sniper, Ghost still unknown, but Red had drafted counters. He knew Ghost broke its limiters. Maybe its AI evolved. He called his buddy Joe to prep an MAME. Next day, Shiba told Gashin he'd quit. He was too scared of dying. This time, Gashin didn't argue. He'd tell Kumai. Since Shiba quit, he couldn't pilot Kenbu. He had to hide it and report its location. Before parting, Shiba told Gashin to take care. Gashin said his life was his to risk. Shiba shouted he feared death, but feared watching friends die even more. Gashin snapped, "Our cowards don't get to talk about death." Shiba hid Kenbu by a stream, then left with Gay. Outside the forest, thanks to Gay overriding his ID and bounty, people didn't recognize him. Gay asked what's next. Shiba planned to deliver Risa's necklace to her family if any were left. Gay dug into her accident records, found her home address. Shiba thanked him. They laughed together before setting off. Elsewhere, two men schemed branding Japanese as criminals, then saving them for fake glory. To them, Japanese lives were trash. Shiba arrived at Risa's address, house gone, leveled. He guessed she still had relatives, so he asked her out. But everyone avoided him like plague. Then a girl asked if he was Risa's friend. A shady-looking man approached, demanding who he was. Shiba introduced himself, showed Risa's necklace. The man took him in. On the ride, he explained Risa's house was destroyed by Asian forces, her family wiped out. Rumors said she joined rebels. It was ordered by the new governor. Families of rebels were also targeted. Straight-up oppression. He took Shiba to a diner, where Risa's childhood friends gathered. They laughed, sharing memories of her, unaware of the truth. But Shiba finally told them. Everyone was shocked. Some cried Risa was always kind, always helping. It fit her perfectly. They asked what Shiba would do. Since he couldn't find relatives, he'd place her necklace at her family's grave. When he asked where, silence, then the owner spoke up. It was up a mountain, far away. She offered him a place to stay. He tried refusing, but they insisted and agreed to visit Risa's grave together. They threw a hotpot party for him. He hesitated, but the man persuaded him to stay. After dinner, he and his daughter headed home, chatting as they crossed the street. Suddenly, the governor's car cut them off. He rolled down the window, blaming the man for dirtying his shirt somewhere else. Meanwhile, Red had received his new MAME. He was hyped, couldn't wait to crush Kenbu and Ghost. Speaking of Ghost, it was hiding in a cave, repairing itself. Next day, rumors spread the man and his daughter vanished. At their home, everything was cleared out, suspicious as hell. One guy said he heard anyone targeted by the new governor disappeared overnight. They were sent to the mainland, basically human trafficking. Gay and Shiba overheard. Gay confirmed he checked nearby cameras since last night. No army trucks left town, meaning they weren't sold off yet. But no one trusted Shiba, so Gay exposed one man's embarrassing secret to prove his info was real. They started to trust and said they'd go to the governor to demand the hostages. Meanwhile, Gashin reported Shiba's choice. Kamai understood him, and also reminded that when they return to HQ, he'll have a new teammate. A pilot with a design straight from Kenbo. Back at the governor's place, he was scheming with his cronies, planning to sell the uncle off as slave labor, and his daughter to some sick creeps. Right then news came in that Japanese folks were gathering at the gate, but Shiba chose to stay at the diner. Soon word spread that the protesters had all been arrested. They were charged with opposing the government and dragged away. Gay found out the trucks used were military, headed to round up more people to sell, and told Shiba to dip quick cause they were on the way. The shop lady gave Shiba the location of Risa's family grave, asking him to send their regards, then shoved him out before the army showed up. After that, the whole group got captured, paraded down the street, and declared they'd be executed for treason. Shiba watched on his phone, heartbroken, even seeing the governor shoot someone at random. He broke down crying, realizing how cowardly he'd been. Always running and leaving behind those who helped him. Gay spoke up, "If you hate yourself, then why not change and be better? It'll always back you up." And Shiba regained his resolve. From deep in the stream, Kenbu's eyes lit up. That afternoon when everyone was about to be executed, just as the guns aimed at them, a tremor stopped it all. Kenbu leapt out with a shield to protect them. The governor ordered an attack, but those tin cans were too weak to be called a maim. Shiba grabbed one and slammed it into another to disable them, then raised Kenbu's fist right in the governor's face, making him quake. Now that's what you call absolute power. He trembled, begging for his life. Then Gay broadcasted his human trafficking crimes to the whole world. Seeing this, the redhead laughed hysterically, yelling nonstop. Shiba warned him, "Touch another Japanese, and I'll haunt your house every night," then walked off, while the uncle and his daughter were freed. At dawn, Shiba reached the spot where Gashin waited, and left Risa's keepsake at her family grave. Back then in a pottery village, little Shion followed her grandpa making beautiful works. Under his hands everything was intricate and refined. But one day, the Asian army came to seize the land and workshop. The family had no choice. Her grandpa watched his life's work smashed apart. From then on he never touched pottery again. Seeing him like that, little Shion promised she'd one day restore the workshop for the family. Back to the present, both Yuhan and Kenbu were wrecked, key parts missing, and both Gay and Kei needed charging to work properly. Gashin called Mizuki. She wanted to help but was busy dodging the Asian army while heading to HQ. She sent them the coordinates of replacement parts so they could repair before moving on. Shiba asked what's next, so Gashin dragged him to steal electricity to charge theirs. After camouflaging them to rest, the two headed into the city for a place to stay. At the hotel, though Shiba was from the city, it was his first time there. Looking lost, so Gashin called him a country bumpkin. Shiba tried clapping back but Gashin told him to quit drawing attention. Then they checked in. Kei told them to shower cause they reeked. Shiba was shocked that I could even sense smell. Kei said you don't need sensors when everyone around is pinching their nose. So they scrubbed themselves down, then went out to eat. Gashin got word from Mizuki the parts had been sent. Repairs would start tomorrow. Shiba perked up and started eating happily. He noticed Gashin wouldn't eat veggies, teased him. Kei said he was picky. Gashin snapped. Shiba apologized, not knowing he hated that. He admitted he'd never had friends, so didn't know how to talk. Kei and Gay said don't sweat it. Gashin's just acting tough to cover his soft side. The three then started bickering. Meanwhile in Europe, after Shiba's roast and the economic gut punch to Asia, the army began prepping to welcome him. He hoped this flower on the battlefield would bloom in blood and gunpowder. The next day, Gashin and Shiba rode a bus to pick up gear. Gashin told him to look down at Japan's cities, now ruled with people oppressed and poor. One day, he said, "I'll take it back." Then they hit a bar run by resistance members. Gashin gave the right password. The owner handed over the goods, and even put faith in Shiba after hearing his speech. Not long after leaving, while they chatted about responsibility, a distant explosion shook the air. At the harbor, the European army openly attacked the Asian sector with a maim. The Asians fought back but barely. Gashin and Shiba blended in with evacuees to watch, while Oceania troops sprayed bullets, ignoring civilians. They reached the evacuation site. Gashin saw the Asian army struggling, maybe even abandoning civilians to defend, but Shiba refused to accept that, wanting to act. Gay answered his call. They hacked into devices to guide civilians out. Then Gay hijacked all city screens to direct people safely. But it still wasn't fast enough. Oceania's strike was too quick. Shiba wanted to bring Kenbu, but Gashin said by the time they fetched it, no one would be left. The Asian commanders abandoned the refugees, thinking if Oceania killed them public opinion would turn their way. The people tried to escape buildings, but were blocked by Asian troops. Just then, a wrecked maim was thrown, smashing a building. Chaos erupted. Oceania advanced step by step, when suddenly another maim appeared, moving insanely fast. In no time it was inside the Oceania formation, introducing itself as Reiki, claiming to fight in the name of justice. Then it sliced an maim in half, leapt high and struck down, used the corpse as a shield, then skewered 3 Oceania maim in one go. Next, it turned on the Asian forces, sweeping 3 at once, then to everyone's shock, vaulted sky-high to slash a bombardment maim. It flew across the city, killing every maim it saw, both armies' maps filled with red markers, reports of units being wiped out, 70% losses, forcing Oceania to retreat. Shiba and Gashin stood jaw-dropped. Just as Gay said that was their new teammate, orders came in, so they left. Deep in a forest that evening, Gashin and Shiba found Reiki. Shiba greeted first, but the other eye cut him off. It called itself Nayuta with a cocky tone, mocking male pilots and demanding both bow their heads in thanks for being saved. After cussing them out, it finally showed them the princess pilot teammate Shion, who stepped down without a word, then suddenly burst into tears. The 3 were transported to a nearby Otaku base. Shion apologized for greeting them with tears, introduced herself and chatted with Shiba, while Gashin stayed cold and grumpy. From Shion's words, that battle earlier was her first real fight. She used to be just a mechanic for Otaku. Then Nayuta showed up telling her to be a pilot, and she agreed on the spot. It bragged about its eye for talent, but Gay and Kay teased it was just girl crazy. Soon the 3 were joking loud, while Gashin clutched his aching head. Meanwhile, the redhead Hardy and his buddy went to meet the commander, who summoned them because Ghost's location had been confirmed. Ghost is definitely an unmanned machine with independent thinking, but the mastermind behind it is still a mystery. Ghost wrecked North America, Asia, Europe, and even Oceania's armies. The top brass are desperate to own it for a war advantage. Hardy's boss told them to track it down, and if possible, destroy Ghost so it doesn't fall into enemy hands. Then came the personal talk. Turns out the commander was Hardy's dad. He told his son to come home for the holidays since his mom missed him. Hardy agreed, and left. But in the car, his friend knew Hardy would just bury himself and work over the holidays. Hardy admitted there was still too much to finish. He stopped by his favorite bakery. The owner gave him extras knowing the North American Union was trying to rebuild Japan, though in reality the army still held all the power. Even if Japan regained autonomy, the core would still be under no, slowly turning Japan into a colony. Hardy didn't want people relying on outsiders but standing up for what's theirs. After eating, they drove on. Hardy admitted it's not that he didn't want to go home, but as an adopted kid with other adoptees, he never fit in. Nothing really interested him until his dad took him into the military world. The moment he first saw an anime, he chose the soldier's path. By the time he finished talking, they'd reached their mission zone. Meanwhile, Shiba's group checked into a fancy hotel. Finally, Shiba asked why their 3 anime were different from the armies. Nayuta explained a company called Brinson was backing Japan's resistance groups. On paper it's HQD in Europe, but it's basically a shell company. Maybe shady, maybe not. But so far they've been fine. Their A's were built by an outside agency called ILS, short for Intelligence Learning System, though guy's kinda special case. Even if he shares source code with Kei and Nayuta, he ended up dumped in Oceania. But hey, they're still siblings. Back in his room, Shiba asked Gay if he ever wondered why he was sent there, but Gay didn't care. He liked things the way they were. Cut back to Hardy. He met Roger and Sophia, who'd support him in hunting Ghost, but Sophia objected, saying piloted AIM were riskier than drones. Hardy explained, if they went unmanned they'd need a whole battalion, with Asia and Oceania lurking they couldn't, so he gathered elites to take down Ghost. And since she was chosen, that meant she was good. All they had to do was follow his lead and Ghost would be just another MAME. If not, no promises. Next day Shiba's crew headed for HQ, while Hardy's squad began their op overhead. Ghost sensed all four from inside its cave, shot to the surface, right as Hardy landed in its path. Ghost struck first. Hardy ordered the team to split and hit from multiple sides. The tactic worked. Ghost was pressured. It had never faced a team of fully piloted AIM before. They needed to kill it before it adapted, but too late. Ghost focused on Hardy's friend, forcing him back. When Roger tried to help, Ghost blocked and fired grappling hooks at him. Missiles rained from outside. Ghost jammed the signals to throw them off. Roger pushed in but got snatched. A third arm sprouted from its back. The black pilot had to ditch one arm to escape. Ghost had fully adapted to Hardy's strategy and was ready to crush him. Suddenly Gay felt that killing intent again. No one else, not Shiba. Not the eyes noticed. He brushed it off as his imagination. Ghost lashed its chain fingers straight at the cockpits, and while Roger wasn't paying attention, one finger pierced him from the inside, killing him. No time to mourn. Hardy quickly recalculated and led the two left into another assault. Sophia and the other rushed ahead to distract Ghost, but both were snared by wires it had laid underground. Hardy charged anyway. Ghost fired. Hardy leaned back to dodge, then flipped to shoot its arm joint, but it blocked and countered until a bullet knocked its leg joint off course. It was Roger Zaya still fighting even though he was dead, and Hardy finished Ghost with a shot straight through its chest. It fell, but seconds later escaped with a military jet. Hardy swore he'd kill it. Meanwhile, Shiba's team reached HQ and met Udo, Yataga's rep, relieved they arrived safe, but already had a job for them. Someone wanted to meet them, the middleman between Brenson and their group, who introduced himself as Gobert, proposing war-based business. They all sat and talked. Gobert cheerfully suggested long-term cooperation. As long as there's war, there's profit, and he'd bankroll them when needed. Gobert also brought fresh gear for their AIM, showing off dual grenade launchers for Johan, and plenty more for Kenmu and Reiki. Then Udo got a call from Nadea and drove Shiba's crew to a forest village. They entered a house owned by Usagi, a longtime real estate man now living here. He showed them family records, saying 9 lived here, but a week ago they lost power and water. Suddenly a girl ran up hugging Gashin, calling him dad, shocking everyone. Usagi explained she'd lost her father Yan. Back to business. The villagers were struggling since the outage. Udo asked why they didn't just leave. He said their town saw war. They fled to shelters, but those closed, forcing them home. Others had the same fate. They ended up exiled here in this remote village. Tough life, but at least safe from war. Hearing this, Udo promised all the help he could. That night they camped there, Shiba admiring Udo's kindness. Gashin said Yataga wasn't just rebels, they also aided struggling people, and winning trust was key to restoring the nation. Next day rain poured. Everyone gathered to solve the village's problems. Survival meant restoring water, power, and food. Kumai suggested digging wells, building water wheels for power, and farming the land, so work began. Shiba and others salvaged old car parts. Udo asked Gobert to sponsor supplies, and Gobert agreed. Profit was profit. The villagers worked, some built homes, some dug wells, some farmed, and by evening they all ate together, the kids' laughter easing Shiba's heart. Next day, while work continued, Shion called Shiba way up the mountain to a hut with a kiln she wanted to restore. If they pulled it off, they could bake bread, pizza, even pottery. Shion shared her fam had a pottery tradition. Shiba, hyped, offered to help. So the two started rebuilding the kiln, and when the curious kids showed up, Shein invited them to join in. Day by day everyone made progress. Shiba's crew finally finished the kiln. Under Shein's guidance they tested it. Shiba and the kids crafted cups and plates. All that's left was firing and painting. Meanwhile Gashin got the gear in, just waiting on the well to flow. The water wheel had started turning to generate power, but Gay said it wouldn't be enough for the villagers. Gashin's team hit a solid rock wall. Kay scanned and said it was 2 meters thick, hard to pierce, but if they did, Nayuta promised water would gush. At 100 liters a day it'd be plenty. Mizuka laid out a plan. The next days they kept at it, upgrading the water wheel for more juice. Still Gay only rated it decent power. Then Kay called them over to the well. Mizuka had designed a device combining laser beams with drill stakes. First melt the rock with the laser, then fire the drill stakes. Since Gay pitched the idea, it forced Shiba to do it, threatening to sulk if he didn't. With no choice, Shiba stepped up. Under the three eyes guidance he cut with the laser. Now just one lever pull left. But Gay demanded he shout a skill name, so Shiba yelled Mega Rock Drill Piercer before slamming the lever, and water burst out. They harnessed the water's force to speed up the water wheel, pumping out a fat supply of electricity. Lights lit up, things looked brighter. The villagers bowed in gratitude. Afterwards, Shiba, Gashin, and Shein took on a supply run for Yataga's members, doing it all in secret. Looking at the long list, Shiba groaned, unsure when they'd finish. Just then, someone recognized Gashin, his bro Yusei, so they all headed to the park to talk. Shiba never thought Gashin had siblings, and it was the first time he'd seen him smile like that. Kay explained Yusei once worked at Yataga HQ with his parents. After they died fighting Asian forces, Gashin's dad adopted Yusei, and Gashin treasured him like real family. When Yusei suddenly left the org, Gashin was crushed for a while. They caught up, swapped contacts, then Yusei left. Before heading back, Gashin looked at a photo of him, Yusei, and his dad, recalling childhood memories like when they got lost in the mountains, scared until Yusei comforted him. Though not blood, Yusei always shielded him, those memories engraved in Gashin's heart. Next day, Shiba's crew tested their new gear, and mid-check, Gashin got a message from Yusei. Thrilled then he invited Shiba and Shein too. He brought them to a Japanese city he founded. All residents were Japanese, no Asian couple involved. And officially it had 3,482 people. Like a small town, self-governed by Japanese, and its leader was none other than Yusei, beloved by everyone. The only thing he wanted was to see kids' carefree smiles, protecting them all. That's why he left Yataga. Their paths diverged. Running the autonomous zone was tough. He negotiated daily with Asian forces, and like Yataga's fighting, and dreamed of expanding the city. When time was up, Yusei left them to explore. Locals showered them with gifts just for being his friends. Shiba and Shein climbed a hill to view the city, while Gashin met his brother. After his meeting, Yusei got straight to it. He wanted his brother to quit Yataga and join him here. Due to population caps, he'd need Asian approval for Gashin, but he wanted him to drop the gun and live peacefully here. Gashin couldn't answer yet, asking for time. Back at HQ, Gobert approached him with a revelation. Since losing Gashin would hurt profits, Gobert claimed Yusei was an Asian spy, though whether he believed it was up to him. He added info was just another commodity, and logically, how else could Asia allow Yusei such a big autonomous zone? Thus Yusei must have been there pawn seizing land, leaking intel, outing rebels, bribery, maybe even blackmail. The brother Gashin adored was protecting Japan by betraying Japan, and staying in touch meant Yataga's secrets would spill eventually. Losing one pilot was bad enough for Gobert's side, but 3, he urged Gashin to think carefully to avoid nasty fallout. If he still doubted, he could investigate, so Gashin left. In a dark room, Gashin told Kay not to share this with any AI, recalling a time he lost his tea and sat in silence. Back then Yusei had comforted him. Refusing to believe his brother was like that, next day Gashin snuck back to investigate, and quickly spotted plenty of supplies, from medicine to basics, were scarce. Villagers constantly complained. Then Gashin saw Asian army trucks heading to Yusei's office, using essential goods shipments to squeeze him for intel. Even though it wasn't in the deal, Yusei had no choice but to comply. Gashin caught it all on camera, and after they left, Yusei hesitated before calling him. They met outside the autonomous zone, then Yusei went to HQ with Kumai and Udo, confessing he'd struck a deal with Asia to build his city, and now they wanted intel to crush Yataka. Asia might use the zone as a base, so he advised them to withdraw. After spilling it all, he left before raising suspicion, turning down Udo's invite to stay. But shocked Yusei's car wouldn't start. A mechanic said it'd take a day to fix, so he had to sleep over. So, he didn't hold back anymore. Late that night, while all slept, Yusei secretly copied Yataga's data, but as he slipped out, Gashin was waiting. The brothers start arguing. Yusei wants to protect his people. He won't let them die, while Gashin can't sacrifice his org. They bicker. Yusei turns to leave. Gashin aims at his own brother but can't pull the trigger. They keep arguing till Yusei walks off. Gashin points the gun, finger shaking, but he freezes. Days later, the three pilots drift across the sea to meet Tohoku, a rebel group like them. They split from Udo and Kumai, had mapped routes with Gobert the day before. He said they could link with Tohoku since they're also about reviving Japan. But they're being hunted by the Eurasian army. Soon they spot the island where Tohoku's hiding, and inside it's under Eurasian attack. Everyone's resisting in despair as Eurasia rolls out a MAME to oppress. Right on cue, Team Shiba pulls up to help. Gashin snipes from range. Reiki and Kenbu hop in and start shredding a MAME. But the enemies stack deep, so Gashin pops smoke and falls back. Running the op is LT, Zelenoi, watching it all, grinning and saying next time he'll step in personally. After they break out, they meet Commander Kumai. He thanks the trio. Shiba looks around, barely enough people to call it an organization. Kumai explains they used to be many, but since Zelenoi took over he pumped out a MAME in bulk to wipe Tohoku off the map. Next plan, strike the islands east, where their allies are, and merge forces. Gay says to boost the odds it needs a terrain scan, so the three split to recon, each with an escort. Up high, Shiba spots weird light pillars. His escort says there are enemy signal posts everywhere. They ignore humans and only ping a MAME. Kill one signal and it flags a target. Shiba watches and decides to exploit that. Meanwhile, Zelenoi is soaking before battle. His secretary objects when's guaranteed. Why show your face? But he says he likes it that way and he'll crush Team Shiba. Shiba sets up with Gashin and Sheen as fog thickens. Zelenoi boards his MAME and kicks off a sweep, blasting the forest at random. They spot Team Shiba moving and keep shelling. Gashin lays smoke to jam their feed. Zelenoi powers the signal pillars, sees all three on the map, and funnels fire to pin them to one spot. But right when they box them in, the signals vanish. Outside, Gashin drops a bridge and wipes a bunch. Kenbu and Reiki burst from the flanks and mow him down. Hacking their net was easy, taking positions on the fly. Then they ride the fog as cover. With the small fry cleared, they beeline for Zelenoi. Nayuda and Gay Russian all hyped. Kay snipes from the back and drops to behind him. Kenbu's blade hits first. Reiki swoops to assist but eats fire and jukes. Zelenoi lines up Kenbu. Reiki circles back and chops his gun. Even getting pinch played, he holds his own. His saber's too tough to cleave. Mid-fight, his MAME locks up. Gashin calls a disengage, no need to finish him. Zelenoi seethes as they leave pure humiliation to a noble. Then his saber and armor finally crack apart. Back with Team Shiba, after merging Kumai's folks with the rest, they say their goodbyes. The trio boards a ship to regroup. After this run, Gashin's way more proactive. Soon they link up with maintenance again, but before handing over, Shiba asks to wash Kenbu, it's filthy. Over with Hardy, Gobert somehow reaches him to pitch a deal, hiding he's an AI, calling himself a merchant selling intel, Ghost's location. To prove he's legit, Gobert rattles off details on Hardy, Sophia, and Joe. Hardy asks the price. Gobert says no cash, consider it an investment in their future partnership. He leaves, sends the data. Hardy forwards it to Intel. Udo gets maintenance's update on the three pilots and grants them some downtime. After hanging up, Udo's told there's a visitor, while the pilots keep scrubbing their MAME, chatting future plans for post-restoration Japan. Sheen wants to rebuild her family kiln. Gashin still has to avenge his dad. Shiba promises to help him bag Ghost. Sheens in 2. Gashin says nothing but that smile says plenty. Illinois, after getting clowned by kids, reports and requests a transfer to the Yataga hunting squad. Higher-ups greenlight it. Ito meets Kumai, shows pics of Asian troops wounded for unknown reasons may be hit by another nation, then shows a map, Japan split among 4 powers. If they keep running ops, Yataga's territory will grow nominally in AUs, but with Japanese autonomy. What really hypes Hardy? For years the 4 powers never fought each other to expand, but lately that changed thanks to a massive catalyst shaking the whole board, the original name, Kenbu. More precisely, the self-learning A inside Kenbu, since Ghost has a similar one, maybe even outclassing Gay. The more he thinks, the more Hardy wants it, so he decides to team up with Gobber Twinwin vibes. Soon Intel reports 90% confidence Ghost still in the Asian cooperative sector. It's adapted to their old strats, so Hardy needs a new playbook. He asks Sophia if they've found Team Shiba. She says they lost the trail ages ago to many possible routes. After mulling it over, Hardy invites Joe and Sophia out for some air. Meanwhile, after he and Mizuru finish Kenbu's maintenance, Shiba goes undercover shopping with Shion and Gashin, and they split up at the market. Overwhelmed by the crowd, Shiba bumps into Hardy by accident, apologizes, and dips. But Hardy clocks his voice from before and sends Joe to tail and voice match him. When the shopping's done by evening, Mizuru pops in and invites everyone to relax at a hot spring. At the baths they split men and women. Surprised Shiba runs into Hardy, who flat out says he's in AU military and on a ghost capture mission that slipped away. He then drops Ghost's location, which hits Gashin right in the revenge. Before they can grill him, Hardy leaves with Joe, and over on the women's side, Sophia shares the same intel. That night, Ghost strikes an Asian army base again. Damage is brutal. Next day Team Shiba reports Ghost's location and Hardy to Udo. Gashin's itching to roll out now to avenge his dad, and Shiba's into to settle it for Risa. But Udo asks them to wait till the intel's verified. From then on Gashin dives headfirst into training. 2 days later it's confirmed Ghost is in Hiroshima. It's seized Asian army strongholds. They've fallen back to the coast to fortify in case Ghost hits the mainland. Ghost is currently sleeping for repairs, and Case says there are Japanese civilians in Hiroshima abandoned by the Asian army, so taking Ghost down directly protects the people and Japan. Udo assigns the mission, rescue civilians and defeat Ghost. 2 teams evacuate civilians. B is the 3 pilots ambushing Ghost's supposed nest. With roles set, everyone splits to prep. In the following days Team A persuades islanders to evacuate. Team B grinds training. Soon it's go time. That night a fleet moves for Hiroshima. Team A lands to ferry people to boats. Team B heads for Ghost's Island, while Hardy sits back playing third-party winner. Ghost has already woken. Hunting Asian army stragglers, it shreds to a maim, targets the commander who fought Shiba, and right then the trio arrives to strike. They drag it to a new spot and attack. It clocks Shion as green to its stall and rushes her. Kenbu covers. Gashin switches to tactic B, baiting it into open ground. Reiki takes high ground for Overwatch. Kenbu re-engages Ghost, but it's evolved for arms flying, catching Shiba off guard and swinging the momentum. Johan snipes to draw aggro. Reiki fires an electric net to bind. Johan lines the kill, but Ghost counters with foot cables, rips the net, then grabs and crushes Johan's head. Kenbu bats its hand away. Reiki nets again. The trio falls back to Replin. Ghost's power spiked wild in no time. Evolution speed is nuts. Talking evolution gives Shiba an idea. Ghost closes from behind. Shiba calls Tactica. Kenbu baits it up the mountain. Gay pings an ammo depot and lures it inside. Reiki is waiting. Shion fires a double-layer net to pin it in the depot. Gay locks the doors remotely. Gashin fires the round, hits a crate and chains a massive cook-off. But before they can cheer, Ghost is still standing in the flames. They charge anyway. Kenbu gets rocked. Reiki tossed like a toy. Gashin calls for drill team coordination like in practice. Hardy watches from afar. Either way, he profits. If Shiba wins, the Ghost kill-op is done. If Ghost wins, he begs Gay for research. Meanwhile Team A completes evac and even nabs Asian army remnants. Back in the fight, the trio sinks cleanly. But Ghost stays up. It dives in and destroys Johan's rifle. No more sniping. Gay suspects it's not fully autonomous anymore. There's a pilot. Even 3v1, win rates maybe 50%, and dropping. Kumai calls in, "Withdraw, you've cleared half the plan," but Shiba refuses, knowing Ghost won't let them walk. He says he'll come back alive, so don't stress. Kumai greenlights extra supplies. The trio pushes again. Ghost sends Kenbu flying and pins Reiki, then snaps Reiki's arm and rips off Johan's leg. Shion only manages to yank Gashin clear. The two go dark while Kenbu tails Ghost from range. Thermal cams up, they spot its energy core at the tail, which explains the endless 1v3 no drain for it. While they're burning juice, that's the weak point. Keep temps high with no vent, it overloads. They regroup and power share. Johan and Reiki dump everything into Kenbu so Shiba can finish Ghost. Kenbu re-engages while the other two shift to strike positions. Shiba baits Ghost into the Asian Army's Amame hangar. It storms the hangar and puppets Amame to gun Shiba, but Kenbu ejects and detonates the bay. Of course Ghost still stands, and the other to report their set. Kenbu starts getting cornered. Gay decides to break the limiter-only play to beat Ghost and Shiba okays it. Limiter off, Kenbu's faster, slices an arm in a blink. Now it's even. Kenbu baits Ghost into the burning zone. Shiba and Gay combo hard. Ghost can't answer. After another arm gets chopped, Reiki drops in and takes its head. Johan snipes and blows the energy tail. As Ghost drops, Kenbu dives for the finisher but the blade snaps. Kenbu systems redline, and Ghost is overheating too. Minutes from popping, Ghost sprints for the sea to cool off. Kenbu blocks it, ready to die together. He won't let another Risa happen, and for Gashin's dad, Shiba chooses to sacrifice himself to protect the people he loves. At the brink, Shiba and Gay share a final talk. Whatever happens, they go together to the ends of the earth. Then Gay cuts out. Shiba thanks him for showing the world still got wonders, and the two detonate with Ghost. Team A's evac succeeds. They returns heavy as Udo gets a report, one pilot's signal lost. By the time they check, there's nothing left. No time to drown in grief, there's work to do. Shion and Gashin say their farewells and move out, while Hardy fishes up Ghost debris and shocker. Its AI core's intact. Season 1 ends here. See you next time.